And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 7th round of the 2nd season of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series, presented here on Full Send Racing Network, as usual, by me, myself, Marshall Crocker Jr., your host, your series founder, your founder of Full Send Racing Network, pretty much everything to do with this series. I have some part in, and I am extremely excited to call yet another great race in what has been a really exciting season so far. And well, this week we're kind of early. We're only 5 days removed from last week's race at Indianapolis, won by Michael Nickel, our first Canadian winner of the season, and our first time winner in Michael Nickel. As you see the cars in the background, just leaving the pits, getting ready for tonight's practice here at Road America. And what a racetrack Road America is. One of my favorites on the calendar, if not only because it's really an adventure, of a racetrack in its own right. It's an extremely long circuit. The lap times take about 2 minutes here, which for a road course in one of these really fast Formula Renault race cars is extremely long. So it's a great opportunity to get to showcase our drivers' abilities on the longer laps and really test how well they can memorize a much longer layout. And if you want to talk about a couple drivers we need to watch out for, well, there's a guy we're going to watch in the background here, Mr. Andrew Bedrosian, just heading out for his first qualifying lap here, the driver of the number 5, currently sitting in 3rd in the points as of this week, heading into round number 7. We just passed the halfway point in the championship, so definitely the positions and the finishing order are going to matter more and more every race. But here is the man himself, Michael Nickel, driver of the number 23, last week's winner at Indianapolis. He comes back in the same car, but back to a different discipline. This week, we'll see what he can do at Road America. But before we get too far into tonight's broadcast, as we get set for tonight's qualifying, as we watch in the background, we will wait until the qualifying order jumps up in the top left there once drivers start finishing laps. First, we have to go to a guy who is, well, his car is, formerly parked on pit road. It is not at the moment, but we do have our co-commentator back for the 3rd time this season. Always a pleasure to have him back in the broadcast booth from Burlington, Ontario. Our very own, welcome back, Jack Hillier. How you doing tonight, Jack? I'm doing well. It's been an exciting week, and I'm certainly been looking forward to this one for a while. But Road America, Jack, it's a much longer lap. It's a very tricky technical road course, and as we just get past the halfway point in this season, of our 3 championship contenders, Trevor Anderson, Nick Nickerson, and Andrew Bedrosian, which of the 3 of those guys do you think tonight this track is going to particularly suit?
Yeah, it's hard to tell because being in some of the races, but I think any of them right now any of them could win it, especially with how long the track is, and like one little mistake with how close the walls are can ruin your race.
Yeah, it really can. It's a track that actually does at times have some pretty forgiving runoffs. As we see guys finally starting their qualifying attempts here, a number of cars there all lined up. It's Trevor Anderson, Christopher Mitchell just shooting by your screen. David Lakey's somewhere in that pack. I think that's David Paxa there coming up the road. Andrew Bedrosian was the first car out of the pits, and he currently ran the best sector of anybody in Sector 3, but not in the first 2 sectors, interestingly enough. So could see some pretty competitive times here in qualifying, as we did in practice. Only, I think it was 8/10 separated the top 9 in practice this week, which is a very slim margin to be sure. David Paxa running the best of anybody in the first sector. But yeah, definitely one of those tracks here, Jack, that is it's going to test your ability as a driver to memorize. Racecraft, ability to run in a pack. That was important last week in Indianapolis. Isn't going to be nearly as important this week at Road America. So tonight's going to be a test of a driver's individual skill, and the driver that comes out on top in this race is definitely going to have to prove their ability as a flat-out racing driver. Aside from knowing the car or knowing how to race in a group, that's going to be the important thing. And the first time of the session is a 150.3. Not a bad benchmark time set by Andrew Bedrosian. Shouldn't be the pull time, but it'll be competitive. Michael Nickel, last week's race winner, goes just a 10th and a half down on him, a 150.4, then a 159 by Trevor, 150.98 by David Paxa, 150.98 identical by Christopher Mitchell. So everybody in the top 5 in the 150s. Nick Nickerson only 900s down on Andrew Bedrosian on his first lap attempt. So we're seeing some close lap times here, and it's going to be Andrew running the fastest sector of anybody in the first sector here, and we will go in an onboard view for a couple of corners here with Andrew just to get a better handle on the layout here of this Road America racetrack. here through the famous Carousel Corner, as it's known here at Road America. One of the most famous corners in really all of America, or really in all of iRacing. It's certainly one of those corners that tests your patience, and it doesn't have a very obvious apex or an obvious line you need to take, so it's really one that where trial and error is so important. As we see Max Preston finishing up his first lap of the session, he's going to go to 7th with a 151.1. So he's in the ballpark, but right now it is Andrew Bedrosian, driver of the number 5, comfortably in front on pace, is the best sector of anybody, a purple sector in sectors 1 and 4. So he is certainly off to a pretty good start. He got run his personal best in the other 3 sectors. Now coming up to the line here, Michael Nichols, fastest of anybody in the 5th sector. But here we go, up to the line comes Andrew Bedrosian, up the hill towards the finish line. Previous best time of 150.3, should go much better this time. What was that lap? 149.626. Great lap time by Andrew. Michael Nichols should improve as well. He does, but not enough to take over the pole. Only 4/10 back though, almost out of the 150s into the 149s. David Pax up to a 150.36. Where does Trevor Anderson go? Doesn't improve. Mitch Morrow improves up to the 8th spot. So guys running some pretty good lap times here. Tanner Digner, a nice run that time by, and Nick Nickerson's going to jump up one more spot, but he's going to have a great slipstream group here in front of him this lap. So we're going to go to the gyro camera here on Nick Nickerson's number 2 car and just keep an eye on his line here as he comes through the first couple corners here down into turn number 2 at Road America. One that is ultra important as you need to build up a lot of speed for this long straightaway. And this straightaway on the run down to turn 3 is going to be the most important passing corner on the racetrack tonight. This is where you're going to see all sorts of moves being made. Nick having to dive out of the way. Look at the cars in front of him. Just everything went wrong for a number of those guys. David Lakey, his partner from last week's race in Indianapolis, went off track right in front of him. So pretty good corner there. Goes wide off of turn 3 for Nick, and he's carrying fairly good speed. We'll have to see later in the lap what he's doing in regards to purple sectors and see if he can compete with Andrew, try to pick up his first podium or his first pole of the season.
And there's the 149 by Andrew in practice.
Yeah, we were talking about in practice today, nobody was able to run a 149 in that entire hour. Now, granted, they weren't running in qualifying kind of mode. You know, they weren't pushing for everything they were worth necessarily to use as much DRS as they could, because remember, these cars in the Formula Renault do have the drag reduction system, which essentially means you maximize your straight line speed and in exchange for an inability to turn. So it's ultra important here in qualifying, but you only have 10 uses of it in the race. So it's something that isn't really going to dictate your pace lap after lap if it's something you really rely on. And I don't think Andrew was able to improve there. Had 2 purple sectors, but also 4 yellow ones where he didn't improve on his best. So Michael Nickel, though, should come pretty close. Good lap time for him, but no, did not manage to improve. Only a 150.12. Who's that coming up the hill here? That is David Pax, I believe, was in front there. Did he improve? I believe he may have, but not going to be enough to move here out of the top 5, and he is still going to provisionally go 5th. Nick Nickerson, though, a good lap time, and he will move up into the 2nd spot with a 149.98, so our second driver in the 149s. 2 more minutes to go in qualifying. Justin Lewick there, a little ways further back down the grid, is just finished up what would have been his first lap of the race, but unfortunately did not manage to register a lap time as he goes off there in turn number 1, going to take an off track. So that will nullify this lap as well. He may have a shot at one more if he can finish the lap quick enough, but certainly not going to be the start to the qualifying session or the start to the night that the driver of the number 55 was looking for. Justin Lewick is going to need to make up some spots in the race, definitely the way that everybody else is running right now. Marshall Crocker Sr. is going to jump by him on the inside, and he is currently sitting in 13th provisionally, your final driver of those who have run a lap time so far. Whoa, and there he goes off the exit of turn number 3, just gets a little bit loose, and that is going to be a tough corner all night. You know, the temptation is to jump to that inside curbing down there to cut the corner as tight as you possibly can, try to minimize your runoff, but it really does take some finesse and some handling. So unfortunately didn't find the luck there. But Michael Nickel, not the fastest at the beginning of the lap in the first half of the sectors, but in the 4th sector he was fastest of anybody all night. So could be a good lap here from the number 23. Up the hill, though, comes Andrew one more time. We're going to go on board with him as he crosses the line. Across he comes. Where will he go? Will he improve the provisional pole time at all? He will. It goes to a 149.55, so bumps that time up even a little bit further. And now we're going to go to Nick Nickerson, who's running fairly quickly for his sake. So here we go off of turn number. That is, I think, turn number 16. It's a long lap here. Mitch Morrow ran pretty quick that time by. We'll see if he can improve from 10th. Was faster in every sector this lap. And he does improve, going to go up to 7th with a 159.69, just behind current series points leader Trevor Anderson there, driver of the number 25, currently at a 150.51. And that should do it for most of the laps that are going to improve in this portion of qualifying. Did Justin Lewick get a lap time this time? No, it will not count because of that runoff in turn number 1. So nobody particularly beating their previous lap times as we come to the checkered flag here in qualifying. So the race to determine our order for the race, our 30 lapper tonight here at Road America. Currently, Andrew Bedrosian going on pace for his 5th pole of the season. The only 2 other ones have been taken by Tim Salvatore, who is here tonight, but has yet to run a time at this point in the event. There we go, just finishing up here. Nobody particularly on a quick lap time, as I mentioned. I mean, Trevor Anderson was a little bit faster by his standards in the first 2 sectors, is running his personal best as we speak. Did not in the 3rd sector, but he's still in the ballpark of a pretty good lap time. So as he comes here through the kink on this back straightaway, a corner that is so slight you can almost run DRS through it, which opens the rear wing, minimizes downforce, means you shouldn't be able to run that fast, but I think he did so it could be a pretty good lap time. It's going to be a little bit slower than his personal best in sector 3 and 4, but this should be the final opportunity for anybody running a lap to improve, because nobody's foreseeingly finding much pace later in this stint on their older tires. Andrew almost getting in the way there of Trevor. I think he might have partially, because Trevor definitely had to woe it up off that final corner, so Trevor may not be too happy about the positioning there, but up the hill he comes. No, he's going to be way off the pace, so that little bit of being held up there I think is going to slide him. Yeah, it does. Mitch Morrow improves his lap time, but does not improve his position. He's going to stay 7th, but comes within a second of Andrew Bedrosian's pole time. So not a bad attempt there whatsoever for Mitch Morrow. And that should about finish off the session. A couple more drivers just finishing up lap times, but nobody improves, and Justin Lewick's time does count. So he will go to a 12th place performance in this qualifying session. Going to go about 2 seconds back of Andrew. And with that, we got to take this opportunity, while we have one, to put up your series points heading into tonight. I've talked about them a couple times, but sometimes they can fall by the wayside. So let's highlight as we watch the guys in the background finish up in qualifying. Here are your points coming out of the 6th round last week at Indianapolis, heading into tonight's race at Road America. And in the points lead, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, it is Trevor Anderson as a result of last week's race. Another consistent podium performance for him, finishing 2nd in what was a crazy finish. 8 cars all wrecking for the lead on the very final straightaway. Michael Nickel coming out on top, but Trevor came home for 2nd. So he sits with 233 points at the top of the standings. Then it is going to be Nick Nickerson in 2nd there, a fellow Americans that are all of the top 3, and they are separated by 7 points. Nick at 229, Andrew at 226. And in the 4th spot, we got Michael Nickel there with 171 points. Then it's Max Preston with 165, running off your top 5. David Paxa and David Lakey, the David 6th and 7th spots, 150 and 147. Christopher Mitchell and Tim Salvatore in 8th and 9th. And it's Marshall Crocker Sr. rounding off your top 10. You can look down the rest of the grid to see where your favorite driver, the driver you're coming here to watch tonight, sits. And we will scroll down a little ways further because we have a couple new drivers in the series that have run in the last couple weeks and now join the overall timing board. So that will round off tonight's qualifying, and we can now officially get into your proper starting grid here tonight for tonight's 7th round of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series season at Road America. And we have a graphic stuck on screen as we often do, so we will very quickly reset that and wait as our field gets ready to go to green. We only have 2 minutes here, so got to make sure we are on top of the pace here. Let's just get our graphics reloaded. Always annoying when they decide to be finicky like this. There we go. Gonna get those reset for you. There we go. They're back up. Should be set to go here. So starting grid for tonight's race at Road America. On the pole on the inside of row number 1, it is Andrew Bedrosian for the 5th time this season in that number 5 car. To his outside, the guy he's battled with many times this season, Nick Nickerson. On the inside of row 2, it is last week's winner, Michael Nickel, alongside Max Preston looking for his first win of the season. It's a David Paxa and Trevor Anderson 3rd row here at Road America. Then it's Mitch Morrow who lines up alongside Dan Skilton, who was very quick this week in practice. And we got Tanner Dignard alongside Christopher Mitchell here in 9th and 10th. Fred Zufelt starts in the 11th spot. Justin Lewick qualified towards the end of the session there in 12th. David Lakey starts at the back of the field alongside Marshall Crocker Sr. And Tim Salvatore, who was unable to make it last week, who joined us in the broadcast booth, may not make it tonight as he has not joined the grid yet. I know he was talking about potentially having some plans that would prevent him from actually starting the race session. So that is the grid for you tonight. The final 2 drivers, of course, Jack Hillier alongside me tonight, will not join tonight's grid. So we are ready to go, Jack. Final thoughts before we take the green in just a couple seconds. What are you expecting tonight? Are we in for another crazy race tonight at Road America?
I just noticed David and Max 1/1000th of a second separate them.
It's going to be the story of the race tonight. It's going to be a lot of close racing, a lot of close battles, but here we go. What a start from Andrew Bedrosian. The second the lights came out, he was off, and green flag comes out here for the 7th round of the second season of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series here at Road America. Down to turn number 1, Andrew Bedrosian, a comfortable gap down to the first turn. Nickerson and Nickel go alongside, side by side through turn number 1. Nickerson should get the better of that battle, as Nickel, though, still to the inside coming to turn number 2. But Nickerson does win that battle, gets the better of him. Preston, Paxa, Skilton, your order as we come through that turn. Dan Skilton already up 2 spots there, getting real confident on those cold tires in the first couple turns. He is the beneficiary of those turns. Trevor Anderson now is going to jump past him in 6, back up into the spot he qualified in. Justin Lewick there trying to move up again, up 4 spots, might go up 6. 3 wide for a moment up to the inside of turn 3, but Justin has to back out, gets in the grass, still up 2 spots from 12th to 10th already, but certainly an aggressive move there this early in turn number 3. Off on the inside right now is David Paxa, who was a little bit off the pace there in turn number 3. I don't know if he just kind of got the back end wiggly and wanted to settle it down, slow down a little bit, but whatever it was, he's going to have to kind of reset here a little bit, and it appears he has done so. So back up to 9th, but that is already 4 spots down from the very impressive 5th spot he qualified in at the start of tonight. Up front, a pretty good jump off the right off the bat for Andrew Bedrosian, but Nick Nickerson in the slipstream on him, might even be on the button on the DRS here on the very first lap. A close battle between the top 3 here. The order has not changed in the top 4 thus far, but so far Andrew Bedrosian keeping himself calm, cool, and collected there on those new tires, and continues to hold off the driver of the number 2, who again, as I mentioned in the pre-race, he has had many a battle with this season, most notably at the road courses back early this season at Mid-Ohio, and he's off! Nick Nickerson, right as I talk about him, sliding off into the outside barrier. Minimal damage, no damage to the front right kind of winglet there on the front nose of that car. Nick finally getting out of the grass there. Does not bring out a caution, but yeah, may bring him down pit road, and it will. Going to go to your first full send racing replay of the race presented by CanadianMiniIndy.com, who we'll talk about in just a moment. But that one, Michael Nickel just right up the inside of him. Drove it up in there. The trees are being very burdensome tonight so far in the replay. But yeah, let's go. One more replay of that from Michael Nickel's perspective, just to look at what he was seeing. Yeah, bit of a hesitation there from Nick. Didn't really send it in the corner. I don't know if he just kind of miscalculated the angle on cold tires, but Michael descended in there on him and gave him no room to work with. Nick finally making it back to the pits as we speak, but for a guy that really hasn't had the luck go his way whatsoever this season, despite the pace he's had, that is not the way that Nick was looking to start off tonight's race. And he's made comebacks before. He did it at, like, for example, Mid-Ohio. He did it at Imola, but not the way he was looking to get it started off tonight. A little bit further back here at the back of the top 5, Dan Skilton, who I was talking about pre-race, had a very good chance to be quick tonight. He was somebody to look out for. He is already up 3 spots from, well, he started in 8th, and he's now up to 5th, and he has some pace working for him right now. He is not too far off the back of series points leader Trevor Anderson, though he's got quite the line of cars behind him here, starting Christopher Mitchell, Mitch Morrow, David Paxa. And that's the thing about these long straightaways at Road America, is we see Morrow jump to the outside of Mitchell. That's going to be a story of the race tonight, because these long straightaways have so many passing opportunities, but it's such a technical track in the corners. So it really is going to be a balancing act here all night. And David Pax is settling in there right behind Mitch Morrow and trying to get a little bit there going to try to get by Christopher Mitchell and maybe chase down that spot that David Pax has started in, that being the 5th position. And Dan Skilton, I see a little ways further up the field, going just off track there off the exit of turn number 13. Or turn number 16. I got to remember how many turns here are here at this Road America circuit, because it is a long track, and we've actually got a graphic for it. So in just a moment we will go to that. But for the time being, what a battle side by side, a couple car lengths back. That's Mitch Morrow, who was side by side with Christopher Mitchell, and he does get the pass made. So Mitch Morrow here, an efficient night so far. Justin Lewick, keep an eye on him. Don't forget about the driver of the number 55, who's very quick. Actually, I think in terms of pure race pace, probably even quicker than where he's currently sitting on track. He qualified down in 12th. He's working his way through the field, but he's got to be careful. That move in turn 3 on the first lap, extremely risky. Another maneuver like that could cost him. And Christopher Mitchell's gone off track, so we'll go back to the full set racing replay presented by CanadianMiniIndy.com. And that was just Mitchell getting loose. He just got a little bit too wide off the exit of 2, and just like that, the 94 car finds itself looking the wrong way around. back up to the front here, and what a battle for the top three we're seeing. Nobody giving each other any room. A second separates the top three right now, and Andrew Bedrosian, as quick as he's been, as quick as he was in qualifying, I think each race we go to here at the road courses, the gap between him and the next car in terms of lap after lap pace decreases and decreases. Nick Nickerson, we saw, just went off track once again. Gonna go to a quick replay for that. Here he comes. Yeah, same issue as Christopher Mitchell, just no grip, way too wide there in turn number 2, and thankfully the massive grass runoffs allow him to have enough room to get back on in relatively quick fashion. But yeah, that could be a story of the race tonight if a lot of guys are having trouble just keeping it up between the bounds of the racetrack, and maybe not being too afraid to send it a little bit later in the braking zones, knowing they have the wider runoffs, and it's less costly if they do make a mistake. There we go. Michael Nichols getting close. He peeks out of the draft there just to maybe consider a move into turn 1, but just too far back that time by. Didn't really have the run he was going to need. But so far from what we've seen, Jack, I mean, we've seen these top three kind of just break away, but it's a very interesting group of three. Bedrosian, Nickel, and Preston, and Anderson not too far back. Do you think it gives any comfort to these three guys up front, knowing that gap they have? Maybe they're going to be a little bit more confident, a little bit more likely to battle each other?
Yeah, well, whenever there's a gap, I think these three are going to try and stay with each other for most of the race. They're going to do what each other do, like for pit wise, I think, and then just try and stay with each other until the end.
Keeping an eye behind the number 5 car of Andrew Bedrosian. Further back in the pack, David Pax has gone off once again. I think that was David Pax and Tanner Dignard who's also gone off. The driver, the number 51. Little damage, but he's coming back on, and yellow flag comes out, our first of the race on lap number 4. So let's go to the Full Send Racing replay, see what happened between those two cars and our first multi-car incident of the race. So here's the rundown to turn number 3. Dignard on the outside, Pax on the inside. Dignard just kind of closed the apex off on him a little bit there. He didn't quite leave a full car length down to the bottom to David, who was keeping with him. Like it was a late breaking point, but he was going to make the corner. So that was just a case of not quite giving enough room and causing a little bit of incidental contact. But the two got relatively back up to speed. We'll check on the number 53 car here of Paxa, and no damage for him either. So luckily it was not too costly in terms of either their races or their need to pit, but it is going to bring out a caution, our first of the race.
Yeah, and that's one of the corners. 5, 6, and probably 13 and 13A are the 3 corners they need to walk for because of the downhill, uphill, and 2 of the turn 6 and turn 13A and 13 being
Keeping an eye now on the order as we finish up here. Guys coming back to the line, but passing has been disabled because, of course, we are now under yellow flag conditions. So the main guy that dropped out of that pack there in that first stint was Nick Nickerson, but thanks to the caution coming out in relatively quick order, he's taken a quick repair, so he's back up to speed. And the driver of the number 2 car, though he may be quite a ways down the order, currently sitting in 14th, at least he will be on the lead lap. And currently all the drivers left in tonight's event are on the lead lap. So gonna go to a quick track details kind of segment here on the Full Send Racing Network. Give you a little bit of information about tonight's race at Road America. So the setup we are using is as typical, the high downforce setup that we use for every road course. But more importantly, the track was opened in 1955, so we are 67 years into its usage here as a venue for a variety of motorsports. It's hosted NASCAR in the past, mainly the Xfinity Series, but it's also hosted IndyCar for a number of years and a number of other series in addition to those. So it's an iconic venue of racing and truly one of the nicest facilities in real life, if not just in America and in the entire world. Tonight we run here in the afternoon. We're running the entire course without the small kink you see up there on the track map in turn number 11. The conditions are clear, so the skies are nice and clear, nice and open, no clouds, which means it's going to be a hot day here in the sim, and that is going to affect grip a little bit, make it a little bit harder for these already tough to grip race cars here, at least a track like Road America, where corners like the one we're going through now up top on your screen, the under the Corvette bridge into turn number 4. Well, this corner is infamously tough on grip, and even more slippery racetrack is going to make that even tougher. But the length here is 4 miles in length, so this is a mile and a half longer than a track like Daytona, a track like Indianapolis, so a very long circuit here. Like I said, laps taking about 2 minutes, so we're already 1/6 of the way through the race in terms of lap count, but those are long laps, and this caution is going to be quite long for that reason. 14 turns here, though, at Road America. You see, including the Moraine Sweep, which is a mini corner. So I guess they call that turn 6, the corner I've been calling turn 4. And turn 3, I guess, is turn 5. So those little mini corners, I guess they're going to consider proper corners on the racetrack. Then there's the Carousel, as I mentioned before, and Canada Corner, turn number 12, one of the toughest on the racetrack. So it's going to be one that we could be referencing quite a bit as guys try to come to terms with these Formula Renault race cars at Road America. And to be fair to them, we've had a very short turnaround after Indianapolis, so they haven't had quite as much time to get up to speed here as they normally would on any other given week, but hopefully tonight they're able to do so in relatively quick order. Well, we got a little bit of time here on the Full Send Racing Network broadcast of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series here at Road America. Very long caution breaks here, as it is a very long circuit. So we're gonna go to a brief side-by-side here, just very quickly at the start. Might as well get the little breaks out of the way, as it's gonna be a long race, and not a long race, but it's gonna be a long caution, and we want to give you as much green flag, proper broadcasted content as we can. So on behalf of myself and everybody here for the Full Send Racing Network, hopefully you join us in a couple minutes time, but thank you as always for watching the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series presented by Full Send Racing Network. We'll be back in just a moment after a quick side-by-side break. Well, a couple of very interesting caution cycle results there as everybody took their first and maybe final pit stops of the race there under caution. You saw the order change around a pretty considerable amount, but more notably, we have a new leader to tonight's race who stayed out there under under yellow, I should say. That is Mr. Dan Skilton, the guy that I talked about a little bit pre-race, but somebody that was very quick this week in practice, felt very confident that he was going to have pace tonight at Road America, and maybe he's playing the hot hand. He says, okay, I can take over the race lead and control the race from the front. Something we've seen in the past is very beneficial, and that appears to be the plan for him tonight. Andrew Bedrosian sitting there behind in second, who of course was the first driver of those that pitted that last time by, but very interesting order here up front, and well, what a start to the race we had there. Had some really interesting action between Bedrosian, Nickel, and Preston, who, luckily, the way the pit cycle worked out, will still be your top three of those that have pitted. So we'll see if they can go to the end. I mean, 24 laps is not a crazy long time, but it's a very long circuit. I don't think I did a 24-lap run this week under green in practice, so I can't personally suggest whether or not it'll work. I think there's a chance, but it's certainly going to cut it a little bit close. But if that many guys thought it was a good idea, clearly it's not such a bad one. So now the lights on the pace car are off, so we have just a couple more minutes before we go green here, and hopefully the last time we have to take the green this race is 22 laps here at Road America. Could go by as quick as 40 minutes, so tonight could be a little bit shorter broadcast, but certainly there is a chance we get another caution, and hopefully we don't, because again, very long track, and cautions at long tracks usually mean, well, very long cautions obviously. So just finishing up here, just waiting for this to come to an end. Yeah, I'll throw it to you, Jack, tonight as we wait for the cars to finish up their final pace lap of the race. So from your experience so far this season, because you've run 3 of the 6 events so far, you've run half the season, but actually I should ask first of all, because you ran last week at Indianapolis and we never really got a proper chance to, well, we did, we talked to you briefly for a couple minutes, but you had a really great race for yourself last week at Indianapolis. I think you led a couple laps there. You were definitely towards the front of the pack for much of the beginning of the race. So from taking those cars to a road course and to an oval at some point in this season, what are these new cars like since you got in them? I mean, you were here with us last season back when we just ran the Indy Pros. So what's it been like adapting to these Formula Renault cars?
Yeah, they're amazing, especially with the power and like on oval. Like, it's hard with these cars on the oval because there's not a lot of ovals they can do. But it was amazing having these cars at Indianapolis, not webbing out anywhere, and it was great racing as you saw. But amazing cars, especially on the road courses. It was a bit harder to get used to at the start because of how much power they have compared to the Indy Pros last season, but they're just so cool.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're a completely different beast from what we saw last season. They're a much more powerful car from start to finish. I think that's the thing a lot of people noticed right off the bat is how much just raw horsepower they have, and the downforce makes them just so zippy through the corners. But very quickly, before we go back to your next green flag restart, of course, there is me on the right-hand side. Unfortunately, just with the how busy it was tonight. Today was Daytona 500 day, and I always have a annual party for it. So unfortunately, didn't quite get the time to get everything set up in my virtual background to make sure that I was actually virtually in the sim world in lovely Wisconsin, where Road America is held in Elkhart Lake. But there is a virtual Marshall rendition of what I approximately look like now, sitting in virtual Road America. So, but very quickly, we want to take a moment to shout out that logo on top of the screen, CanadianMiniIndy.com. I just talked about them a couple minutes ago, but genuinely, we talked about it last week with Tim Salvatore, a veteran of CanadianMiniIndy.com karting. And truly, Canadian Mini Indy is the place to go if you're in the Ontario area. Both Jack and I are members a long time in my case. I've been running since 2010, but members of the Rookie Series for a number of years now, and there is truly many levels of racing opportunity. You can start in the Rookie Series, arrive and drive. You can start and just come out every Saturday, every Sunday, every week, or you can work your way up and get into proper karting. That is the way to make your sim racing dreams turn into real racing dreams. CanadianMiniIndy.com. Thank you as always for broadcasting the series, well, giving us an opportunity to sponsor the series, to advertise for us, and thank you for everything you guys do. But here we go, green flag, Dan Skilton, for the first time this season at a road course, will lead us to the green, and a pretty good jump for the driver of the number 12. Further back, a little bit of chaos, but nobody appears to have gone off track. And Dan Skilton will lead the field down into turn 1, goes off a little bit wide, gets in the dirt a little bit. We're gonna go side by side to turn number 2. Andrew Bedrosian in the 5 car takes the lead on the very first lap. And a caution comes out immediately. So clearly that approximation I made that there wasn't too much drama on the first lap, apparently that was incorrect. Max Preston in the pits, Michael Nickel in the pits, both of the drivers just behind Andrew there on that restart. So second and third find themselves out of the race. What went wrong there? Let's go to the Full Send Racing replay presented by CanadianMiniIndy.com. Just a little mistake from Preston. It absolutely clobbered Mitch Morrow. Holy cow. Went around and just nowhere for the driver of the number 66 to go. Let me go back to the replay there and just see what went wrong. What happened to Michael Nickel is my question. So at this point, Michael was already off the pace. So we'll go back to see his issue. See what went wrong for him. He was way off the pace already. So don't know what happened to Michael. If it was just like not an internet thing, but maybe a hardware malfunction. Something went wrong for him. But see from his perspective, just I don't know. The car got stuck on the revs and just must be a hardware thing. Like he's see on his tachometer, he just can't get out of second gear there. So weird circumstance here for Michael Nickel, who just pulls off immediately as soon as he got off the pit wall. But no, we'll go back to Max because he was the one that actually had an on-track incident that resulted in that caution. So again, one more time here off of turn number 1. You see, he just gets too far into the runoff grass, kind of the dirt there off the exit of the curb, and just nails Mitch Morrow. Nick Nickerson was able to get by. David Lakey, Marshall Crocker Sr. all avoided it, but see it one more time from his perspective. But yeah, just tough luck there, Jack. What we were talking about before, these big runoffs are nice, but once you get in the grass, these cars just hook left on you.
Yeah, and I've experienced that a couple times, and it just there's sometimes where you can catch it once you get back on the track, but most of the time it's just you're gone.
There you go. See Mitch Morrow's perspective there, and he was in such a great spot in the race at that point. Just as you see, the driver camera doesn't flip as the car flips over, which is kind of fun. But yeah, just absolutely just ran through Max Preston, similar to a couple of the wrecks we saw today at in the real life Daytona 500. So that was certainly unfortunate luck for both drivers. But yeah, that's just the lay of things here at Road America. Such fast race cars, so much fun when you hook a lap up together. You don't make any mistakes, but when you do, it is costly and very hard to recover from. So just like that, we're now on lap 9 here. Only 9 laps done out of 30, but we're already a third of the way down in tonight's race at Road America. So I assure you guys, once the cautions kind of settle down a little bit and the drivers are able to get in a bit of a rhythm, we could hopefully go to the end under green. But most importantly, there was that pass Andrew made on Dan Skilton. Maybe we're going to go to the replay here, maybe see that pass one more time, see what happened to Dan that got him kind of unsettled there and allowed Andrew to make the move. So back to the Full Send Racing replay. Here it was. So Dan Skilton, yeah, just a little bit too wide there in turn number 1, gave Andrew the opening, and you see there in the background was the caution or the crash that brought out the caution that gave us our second of the race. But one more time here, it's going to go from, or let's go, I should say, from Dan Skilton's perspective here. So you can kind of see where he went a little bit wide, but we're going to go to his proper cockpit camera here. Look from the perspective of the driver of the number 12. Just a little bit too wide there, and you're going to see up the inside comes Andrew Bedrosian, just jumps it up there on the right side, and Dan settles the car down. Takes it very slow through turn number 2. Obviously, the caution then comes out, but got to wonder if he would have had a chance to come back at him here on the straightaway back down to turn number 5. I think maybe he would have had an opportunity, seeing how close he was, but unfortunately now he's going to have to do a full reset, and you got to think now, if this is our last yellow of the race, Dan will need to pit here under caution. But no, here comes Trevor Anderson now, the only driver who it would appear of the top 10 is going to pit this lap.
If I'm not mistaken, it says here that Michael and Max have both disconnected.
Yeah, it would appear so. So I would approximate, yeah, from Michael, I think it was just a case of internet connectivity, but Max just kind of left on his own power. So yeah, just a frustrating night for both of those drivers, it would seem. And yeah, just what a race it's been so far or what a season it's been so far, I should say, for both Michael Nickel and Max Preston. Max has been consistently picking up a couple podiums here and there. Michael, of course, getting his first win in series history last week. And that's really interesting. Two guys that have accounted for quite a couple podiums, or at least good performances in the past. And Tim Salvatore, of course, not starting tonight's race there. That's going to have a huge effect, because that is a lot of guys that normally account for a lot of podiums. And, besides Andrew, Nick, and Trevor, who are currently sitting 1st, 8th, and 11th, respectively, there's a lot of open spots here tonight for somebody to really make a name for themselves. And and to run a series best performance. Maybe not just in the series, but maybe even just at the road courses specifically, because there are a lot of guys up here towards the top of the field that have made quite a bit of improvement. The guy I want to talk about right now, Justin Lulick, up 9 spots from 12th. Remember that issue he had on lap 1 there in this very turn number 5. Got a little bit overzealous here, sent it down the inside, almost wrecked. But he has since recovered, has since he has slowed down his pace a little bit, not in terms of actual race pace, but in terms of like patience, and it's paid off for him. He's now currently sitting in 3rd.
Yeah, the reason why I believe Max left is because in iRacing you have a tow time rate, especially like on longer tracks, is a lot worse. So I believe he said it was a 5.5 minute tow penalty he would have to take, and then he would have his quick repair. So.
Right. Yeah, it would have been a very long pit stop, and he would have been minimum 1 lap down. So I can sympathize with the decision there from Max, but certainly on the overall championship side of things, not gonna do him a ton of help there in the overall order, which he was improving on. Considering we have a drop race, the fact that he's missed a race wasn't gonna matter all too much. I think he was in the drop race points maybe 4th or 5th this season, so that's gonna be unfortunate for him, but it'll give an opportunity to plenty of other drivers. Just kind of an uncharacteristic mistake for sure from Max. Typically he's somebody that you can pretty solidly rely upon to not falter too much or not make any mistakes like we saw and just get a little bit too wide. Same thing Dan Skelton did. Well, we'll take a moment here again while we're here under caution. Should be 1 lap to go here under caution the next time by. But I want to thank you, all of you watching in YouTube tonight. I know it was unfortunately kind of last minute notice, just the communication from last week. I thought I was going to have to miss tonight. I thought we were going to have to postpone tonight's race to Tuesday. We were luckily able to make it to Sunday, and that way the series didn't get too backtracked. But yeah, just unfortunately I wasn't able to communicate that quite as well. So thank you all sincerely for being here and for being able to make it out. And as always, feel free to get the chat going. Let's talk through anything, any questions you want to mention, anybody you're cheering for. And I'll always mention anybody who's been supporting a driver when we get to the interview. I'm always more than happy to mention you and shout you out. So yeah, just anything you want to talk about. I sincerely appreciate it, and hopefully you guys are still enjoying these week after week on Sunday nights. I'm still looking forward to coming out and just watching these races. So many of these guys that I know from real life racing, guys that I've only met through this series, but whatever it is, I really love watching these guys week after week, and hopefully they're enjoying it. Hopefully you guys enjoy getting a chance to watch your friends and family out here on the racetrack. And what a season we've had so far. As Marshall Crocker Sr. is going to come down pit road here, driver of the number 15, going to leave and kind of sacrifice his 15th place, or 9th place, I should say, on the track in favor of going to the back of the line, but taking his hopefully his fuel for the rest of the race, and more than likely a fresh set of rubber.
Yeah, it's been a great season so far, and it's only, I believe, a third of the way done. So
we're quite a way through this. Actually, this is a good opportunity. It's a good time to mention it. We'll put up the season schedule here, as I usually only get to it by the end of the race, but tonight we'll make a point of it. Here's the schedule for the rest of the season going forward. And yeah, actually, we are quite a ways through this. Tonight will be our it'd definitely be our halfway point, because we have 12 official races in the season, and then the All-Star race, which is a double header next week at Homestead. So look forward to that race next week. We're going to do a normal series race at the road course there at Homestead, Miami, a really fun road course as well. That'll be a fun one to watch. And then on the very same night on the broadcast, not sure if it'll be an in-car perspective from me participating in the All-Star race or if it'll be a traditional broadcast, but it'll be a double header night. Each race will be a little bit shorter, so we can pack both into a night. But the All-Star race weekend, we're going to have some former series drivers coming back for the All-Star race. We're going to invite anybody back, so it's an open race. Anybody who can make it out is more than welcome to. But whichever series driver finishes best, so official series contender, finishes best in that race, so even if they finish third behind two kind of part-time guys just running for fun, they would get the pick. But the All-Star race winner will pick from Spa-Francorchamps, Laguna Seca, or Circuit Gilles Villeneuve there, aka the track that Formula One runs in Canada, the Canadian GP. They will pick from one of those three tracks as our finale, and they'll officially announce it next week on the broadcast. So we'll be able to update this graphic and officially announce our finale track there for round number 12 on March 27th. But yeah, we are actually next week. We are exactly a month away from the end of the season. Only 5 more official rounds to go after tonight. So we're getting there towards the end of the season. Certainly, we're past the halfway point, and that makes the championship battle between Anderson, Bedrosian, and Nickerson all the more competitive. up to the front of the field. There we go. The lights in the pace car are off, and we're about halfway through the lap here at Road America. So should be about a minute and a half until the green flag, and then hopefully that is our last of the race. There we go. Seeing some support in the broadcast chat there from Mr. Justin Lulick. And yeah, not a bad night to be here to support Justin, driver of the number 55. Again, sitting up there in third position, qualified in 12th. But again, that was not representative whatsoever of his pace. I think I knew that, and anybody who's watched the series for quite a while knew that. So hopefully Justin can improve his way through and continue the positive momentum he's had since the very start. And we talk about momentum in this series all the time, and it's coming in handy again tonight. So we'll reset his color there. I think he showed up as white on the timing tower. Now he shows up in that proper dark blue as the Red Bull he's running tonight. So here we go. What can Justin do here on the restart? And remember, Dan Skilton, driver of the number 12, sitting there in second, still has yet to pit. So it's going to be interesting here strategically between those top three. And Tanner Dignard sitting there in fourth. Had kind of a quiet night so far. Avoided a couple wrecks. Might have some opportunities here to work his way through and potentially get his first podium in series history.
Yeah, this was the track he ran as first race last season, I believe.
Yeah, I think he was particularly quick here last year. Good call, for sure. So here we go, off of turn number 14. We are getting set to go. The pace car going to take the right-hander onto pit road this time. We will watch Mr. Andrew Bedrosian as he leads the field to green. Everybody getting all stacked up behind him. Single file. Nice early jump by Andrew. Green flag for the third time tonight at Road America. And the second restart of the race here for the 7th round of the second season of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series. And a great jump right off the bat by Andrew Bedrosian. And in behind him, Skilton and Lewick pulling out a line, thinking about a potential pass, but Lewick falls back in the line. And Dan Skilton here might have an opportunity. Andrew was not particularly quick through turn 1, but no, not quite enough room. So it's Bedrosian still, followed by Skilton, Lewick, your top three. Tanner Dignard following in behind in fourth. Fred Zufelt quietly having a very good night tonight, up 6 spots. He is up to 5th. That's Christopher Mitchell there, and Nick Nickerson going to try to split the gap between these two side-by-side cars, but it's Dignard and Zufelt to run down to turn number 5. Dignard on the outside. Zufelt gets by on the inside, makes contact though. Dignard into the back of Zufelt. 2 cars come together. Will we see a caution? No caution yet, no caution yet. He's back on track. Trevor Anderson's gone off, but Fred Zufelt's coming back on. Trevor Anderson, though, your points leader, has crashed. Comes back up to speed, though, and possibly a little bit of front-end damage on the nose of that number 25 car. But let's go back to the replay here and see what went wrong for Trevor Anderson. So he's falling in behind David Paxa here. Kind of almost dips a tire off into the grass. Sees the wreck up front. Just puts too much of that front left tire there in the grass in turn number 4. And heartbreaking stuff for Trevor, who's already not been having the night he was probably hoping for tonight, especially as your series points leader, especially with the guy trying to chase him down. Andrew Bedrosian was currently, and is still currently, your race leader. Further back, though, battle side by side on the rundown. A great camera angle there as we head down to the Canada corner, turn number 12. Christopher Mitchell on the inside, holding off Nick Nickerson. He does for now, but the crossover move, the 2 car. What a move by Nick Nickerson. Perfectly timed, patient move to get back by, and Nick Nickerson is charging back through the field after that initial lap 1 incident there in this very turn number 14.
Just had to look on board with Tanner and Fred, and it appeared to be some sim lag. I don't think Tanner made any contact at all.
Yeah, it was definitely close. I don't know if that proper contact was made, but whatever it was enough to push Fred around there in turn number 4. And that's a hard braking zone. And, you know, there was all sorts of dicing around there in the run-up. So surely guys would have been carrying a little bit more speed than they were expecting. You know, once you're in the slipstream on a guy, you kind of underestimate just how much speed you're carrying, and maybe you brake a little bit later than you should. And that's what can cause incidents like that. So what a race so far for us. And yes, Justin's got plenty of support there in the chat. So been a good race so far for him, and he continues to hold down that 3rd spot, though now he's up to the 2nd spot. Dan Skilton, who's been having such a great night so far, makes a little mistake, goes a little bit too wide in turn number 4, and is suddenly under attack by Nick, and again getting a little bit squirrely there in turn number 5, but closing the door on the 2 car. That 12 car looks about 3 car lengths wide right now, the way he's defending.
Yeah, 3 drivers just went off a bit and went a bit wide in turn 5.
through the carousel here. Dan continues to hold him off, but Nick Nickerson, we're going to go on board with him here as we come through the kink, just to really get a handle here on how much the slipstream matters here at these tracks like Road America. Look at the run he's going to get through the kink. I think he's on the DRS because the back end got squirrely on him. Let's see how much he can make up. He's in the slipstream, in the DRS. He's going to have to really woe it up here into Canada corner, but he gets quite a bit closer. That's going to be a good lap time there for Nick Nickerson, provided he wasn't held up too much there. And turn number 5. We'll check in just a moment who your current fastest lap holder is. I'm going to guess it's Andrew Bedrosian, but I may be wrong. Down to turn 14. Nice apex by Nick, but an even better one by Dan Skilton. But here we go. He's got to be on the button, I'd imagine. This is a great opportunity for Nick. The pass for third could put himself back into the podium spots here as he tries to chase down Andrew for the series lead. Here we go. Gets the DRS, gets down to the inside, and it might be a comfortable maneuver. Still side by side, but into the braking zone. Nick does get clear. The 2 car takes over the lead, or not the lead, but the lead of this battle. Takes over third, but Tanner Dignard, don't forget about him. Driver of the number 51 car, not too far behind.
All the drivers are going to have to be really careful with DRS because they won't get any uses during the whole race.
Yeah, exactly. They only have 8 uses of DRS throughout the entire event, so you definitely want to be careful how you use them. You know, only using them for opportunities where you can properly make a pass, or if you're Nick and you think we're not going to get a caution to the end, trying to catch up to Andrew and Justin in front as much as he can. Dan Skilton has gone off the 12 car, massive wreck, huge contact into the outside wall off of turn 5, immediately back to the pits. What was such a great race off the start has immediately gone sour for Dan Skilton. Let's go back a little ways here and see the replay from the perspective of the number 12 car. Coming up the hill here through Corvette corner. That is turn number 5 under the Corvette bridge and just gets loose, gets absolutely walloped by Tanner Dignard. Just really nowhere for the 51 car to go. That's not on Tanner, but watch again here from maybe Tanner's perspective. He was quite a ways back too. Probably didn't think Dan was going to have the issues he did, but just right back on the track in front of him. Nowhere for Tanner to go. Hopefully minimal damage here. We're going to go live here and see where the 51 car is on track. And he is still on track, but he is a couple spots down. Now David Lakey going to get by him here, I think, at this time. No, actually he holds onto the spot. So the 84 car backing out. He's going to hold on for the time being, but no, there he goes. David Lakey comfortably ahead of him. So David Lakey up into the 7th spot, quietly having a really great season for himself, keeping it very consistent. Marshall Crocker Sr. has gone off the exit of turn number 13. Gets back on track, actually, with minimal trouble. Back on track he goes, and in front of him, we see Tanner Dignard here heading down pit road. So that will be the end to what was a really great run at the top 5 for him. But again, it's a long race. Might have an opportunity to go back at the top 5.
Yeah, Tanner's front right side of his front wing is completely damaged, and Dan has left. Oh,
he's left the session. That's really heartbreaking. Yeah, you can see they're now a lap down out of the race. That is heartbreaking for Dan Skilton, because what a night he was having so far. What pace he had. You know, he led one of our restarts there, and I genuinely think had we had a couple more laps, he could have kept with Andrew were it not for that earlier mistake. So that's really the story of this series, story of this car, and in general, the storyline we talk about all the time is its consistency, is the number one commodity you need. You can be quick, you can be as fast as you want, but if you can't stay consistent, unfortunately, you're just not gonna rack up the points as on the season as a whole. And that's something I think Andrew's really tried to work towards. Andrew Bedrosian, who has progressively been getting better and better here this season, in terms of, you know, being patient, taking his time. Last week there was a lot of aggression from him, and it didn't pay off in the end. Unfortunately, it caused a number of wrecks and meant that he didn't finish nearly as well there as he did last year. But generally speaking, this year, when he's just run his race, he's taken his time. He's proved how quick he is in this car, and guys talk about it all the time. You know, it's irrefutable just how fast Andrew Bedrosian is in these race cars, and you could argue objectively on flat-out pace might be maybe even the fastest in the series. But what has often, you know, what's been a struggle in the past is just that, you know, taking your time, the patience there to know when to make an aggressive move. But as long as he keeps working on that, I see no reason that races like this can't become the norm for him. And this time by is going to be halfway through tonight's race, so Andrew is well on his way towards a great finish tonight at Road America. Going to jump back here as well to Justin Lewick, who is now being tracked down by Nick Nickerson. We're going to show the lap time comparison between those two drivers the last time by. Nick was faster by just over 1/10 of a second there, but the previous lap, Justin was a little bit quicker, running a 152 to Nick's, well, equal 152, but just a couple hundredths down. Justin Lewick goes wide off the exit of turn number 3. Just as I was talking about him, the commentator Jinx comes back. He didn't turn with the kink and kind of just went straight on, dipped a tire in the grass, and Well, there goes a potential run he could have had there off the corner. Suddenly, that 2 car is right behind him, Jack. Yeah, holy cow, the 55 car is looking squirrely now. Look as Justin tries to keep it on the his tires on the racetrack and try to keep the pace up to not let Nick get any more ground, but you saw how squiggly he was coming out of turn number 4 and 5, so maybe the opportunity to pass for Nick coming sooner rather than later. What a corner for Nick. That braking zone was beautiful. The car getting nice and settled down. That 2 car is just on a roll right now. And here he comes. This time by might have another opportunity to use DRS here down the straightaway under the bridge here and towards the kink. It's going to be close. Going to be a good opportunity here if he can make it stick. Justin again trying to defend wherever he can. Going to go to the inside here. Nick's going to have to go all the way around. Side by side up to the braking zone. Can Nick get it done? Side by side, side by side. Does Lewick give him the room? He does. Does he get the over-under? He doesn't. Justin Lewick, great piece of driving there. And the 55 is going to hold on to second place. Through turn number 14. Very different line for these 2 drivers. Nick much more prioritizing the runoff. Justin prioritizing the run into the corner. And I think Nick's strategy is going to be the best one. He's trying to break the slipstream as Lewick. Going to jump to the inside. Nickerson side by side. He's got more momentum. He might clear him up to the braking zone. Marshall Crocker Sr.'s gone off track somewhere further back. Fred Zufeld gets by him for 9th. Nick, can he get fully past into turn 1? He can. The 2 car clears the 55. And Nick Nickerson continues his charge forward. Now up to 2nd. But back to Marshall Crocker Sr. We're going to go to the incident that plagued him just a moment ago. What happened there? We're going to need a better camera angle on that. Here we go. So this is coming up to Canada Corner. This is turn number 12. Up to the braking zone he goes from the outside, inside. Good apex. Just something. That car just got loose. Did not have the grip off the exit of the corner he needed and slid the back end into the tire wall. He was trying to back his way out. Tanner Dignard got a spot on him as well, and unfortunately he just jumped back to the pits. So the night for Marshall Crocker Sr. that was pretty promising overall at the start, was making good pace, has unfortunately kind of dissipated a little bit, but with a number of drivers leaving earlier in the race, he will at minimum come home for 11th place points tonight.
Yeah, I just watched the replay and trying to get back on the track. He hit the wall and took off his engine cover.
Another issue in regards to grip here, Christopher Mitchell gets loose off the exit of turn number 8, and he goes off here just before the carousel. I'm going to show that one more time. I'm going to go a little ways further back just to make sure we see what happened, but here's the onboard from the driver of the number 94, Christopher Mitchell. In he goes. Yeah, just a bit too aggressive of a flick there to the left to try to get the back end around into the corner. The car it has a lot of grip, but not quite enough for that, so unfortunately does hook the back end around a little bit, but he's still up to speed. You know, he's back up to speed there in 6th. David Lakey trying to chase him down. Actually, Trevor Anderson, series points leader prior to tonight, right behind him as well. So we could see a really great battle here for 6th in just a moment. David Lakey in the background is going to get a little bit squiggly. Keeps it on track though. Nice bit of reactionary driving there from him, but here comes Trevor Anderson down the inside. He is going to capitalize on those incidents like that all day. And there he goes as Marshall Crocker Sr. exits the pit road back onto the racetrack.
It feels like a lot of these drivers are having the same issues that we had last year with not a lot of grip at this track.
Yeah, Road America has always felt like a slippery track on iRacing. I really don't know what it is. You know, I've run here in anywhere from formula cars, ran here in prototypes once. Any track, any car, no matter the downforce, has trouble here at this track at Road America. So it's a really great venue. It's such a fascinating layout. Like just watching the cars go around this track, personally to me, you know, seeing the hills, the trees, the scenery, the background, it's such a fun track to just look at. But it really is a tough one to drive, tough one to get a handle on in very under the radar ways. It's really tricky that way, and it's something that the drivers are learning here as we go. But out front here now, 7 seconds clear of Nick, which that's a gap that actually hasn't really closed, but it also hasn't really widened. We'll show you the lap times through these last couple laps, but I was talking about earlier who is the fastest lap of the race. Right now, it's Andrew Bedrosian, who just ran a 150.5 and is driving away from the driver, the number 2. Gonna put up there in the timing tower the best lap of the race for each of these drivers. Currently for Andrew, it is the one of 4 lap times in the 150s. Michael Nickel and Max Preston, I think, had it previously because they left 10 laps ago and already had a 150.5 for each of them. So it's Andrew now the best time of anybody, with Nick right behind with a 150.8. We'll see if Nick's time improves this lap. A 150.6 for Andrew. Where does Nick go? Well, what I do know is he's got Justin Lewick right on his back bumper. Actually, Nick must have made a mistake there somewhere. Yeah, he was a full second down that lap. Justin was a full 7/10 up on him, so what went wrong there for Nick? Doesn't appear like he went off track, just must have made a bobble of some sort somewhere. And now Justin Lewick, who we saw earlier, has some chat support tonight, right on the back bumper of the number 2. Gonna put up the track map here. It's something we like to try to use whenever possible to try to illustrate the gap between drivers on track and show you the shape of Road America relevant to where these drivers are. As we watch as this battle happens, the 2 and the 3 dot on the track map to your right side are going to be Nick and Justin. That number 4 dot is David Paxa, who's really closing in. David, who got his first career podium last week in Indianapolis, don't forget, in such a fascinating way too, like going underneath about 3 cars there on the run down to the line, managing to bring home 3rd. What a finish that was for him, and we talked about him. We talked about it in the interview with him last week. I think it's got to be like a ripping the bandage off moment that is only going to make him better going forward. Now that he's made it all the way to the top spot, I think he's only going to improve as a result. And now he's got a taste of that success at such a high level, and I think he's going to keep replicating it. And now, as this battle up front continues, he might be in the best spot of anybody, Jack, to kind of just capitalize on whatever goes wrong with these 2 guys.
Yeah, and again, that's like it's hard because right now with this track, like Andrew and Justin, any of them could easily get caught out by the with how slippery this track is, and now on the podium.
Yeah, that is the thing tonight. We've seen many good drivers like Max, like Michael, make those mistakes that have. Well, I guess Michael didn't make a mistake. He had some sort of weird hardware thing, but whatever it is, we've seen a lot of great drivers tonight making valuable mistakes that have really capitalized or jeopardized the races. So it could just be a case now of if he can just sit there and behind and just knock off pretty good laps, he might be able to capitalize on Justin here, who I believe to this point in the series has 1 podium. I think he got one at the start of the season at not Imola, maybe he got one at Mid-Ohio. I believe he's got 1 this season, but is definitely going to look for some success this season that maybe hasn't been there the entire year, though he has been quick at some of these road courses. But talking about the lap times guys are running, Andrew Bedrosian just ran a 150.48, another fastest lap of the race for him, but Nick only a 150.51, so he's still not catching him, but he's kind of evening his lap times out, and with 10 laps to go here, he's got enough time. That's just about 18 minutes. Like, he's got time to make up some ground, but not enough that I'd say, Jack, that he's got to feel confident here about making his way up to Andrew, as he's done a couple times this season.
Yeah, David's just hoping right now that Nick and Justin will slow down because of battling each other and catch up to them and get on the podium again.
Some beautiful cameras here at Road America. Look as we see the drivers come up through Canada Corner to kind of illustrate the gap here from Nick to Justin. And then right back there to David Paxa. And then it's about a 4-second gap back to Mitch Morrow, who sits there in the 5th spot. Not a bad race so far for Mitch. Kind of a quiet night for the driver, the number 66 so far. But what I do know is he's just been consistent from start to finish. Hasn't really faltered at any point. Doesn't really make a ton of mistakes, does Mitch Morrow. He's somebody that makes it out to a lot of practices. He's somebody that, puts in the hours. He's somebody I've had the pleasure of driving with a couple times here in these practice races the last few weeks. And he's proven that even as a younger driver, he's already got that maturity, that poise that has made guys like Logan Paxa a 3-time series champion as quick as they are, historically. And Mitch has a lot of that in him. So could come home for a very good finish tonight. Of course, I don't want to jinx him, but he's all by himself. He's 11 seconds clear of Trevor Anderson in behind, and I think he's got some smooth sailing ahead of him, especially if as David is trying to do, if he can capitalize on anything potentially happening with Justin and potentially Nick. But that last time by, Jack, as I was just talking about, Nick is going to need to pick up the pace if he wants to catch Andrew. Fastest lap of the race for Nick, a 150.28 as compared to Andrew's 150.6. There you see in the top left were the last lap times for every driver left on the racetrack.
Mitch is not closing as much to David, so that's good for David and the battle up front between second, third.
Yeah, unfortunately for Mitch, you're right. He was four tenths off that last time to David Paxa. So the top four there might just be kind of in a league of their own right now in terms of pace to the drivers behind them. Though Trevor is running pretty good lap times, running a 152.0. Actually, Christopher Mitchell, who we go to, and just went off the exit of turn number 3. Unfortunate timing there for him. I feel like every time I go to the 94, I always jinx him. But Christopher just ran a 151.09. That was the same pace that Justin Lewick ran in third place. So there's pace there for Christopher Mitchell in the 94. It's just, can he harness that to its fullest extent to make his way back up the order a couple spots? And he's quite a ways back from the guys in front just due to some earlier incidents. But you know, in this series, Jack, you never count yourself out. We've seen a number of guys that have issues late in the race, getting wrecks, have to take another pit stop. He could find himself a little ways further up at the end of the race.
Yeah, that's the thing with this track is how unpredictable it is with the guys. And like
David Paxa continues to close here. Now coming, I think it's 8 laps to go, or not, well, 8 at the end of this lap here. We're running out of time at Road America, about 15 minutes left if we go green to the end. But David Paxa has all the time he needs to close here on Justin Lewick. And again, I was talking about before, it's consistency. And if David can minimize mistakes that he's been pretty good at so far this season, maybe last season had quite a few more incidents per race than he does this season. He's really cleaned it up. Not that he was ever not a clean driver, but this season he's been on a different level of consistency, and that's what he's going to need right now to chase down Justin, who is getting closer and closer with every passing lap, and only 7 tenths back. He's getting to about the point where if he gets in the slipstream, gets a proper run, might have a shot at a pass attempt.
Yeah, last lap, David was 1.3 seconds faster than Justin.
Yeah, I'm going to show the lap time comparison again between these two guys as... Whoa, no! David has gone around! So is Justin! What in the world just happened there? Both David Paxa and Justin Lewick go around. Mitch Morrow is going to capitalize. And Mitch Morrow, out of nowhere, we just talked about him. The 66 goes by 2 in 1 corner. Mitch Morrow just watched the skies, like the sea part in front of him. Suddenly he's sitting there in 3rd spot. What happened to David Paxa?
And just what we were saying with how that this race is unpredictable.
Yeah, exactly. Not even any contact, but just... I think Justin got a little bit too far in the grass, but maybe unsettled him, but David just overcooked it into the corner. You know, he came in with a little bit too much momentum and just sent it in there, and unfortunately that put him around. But what happened to Justin Lewick? I mean, Justin may have been like mirror driving, you know, watching behind him, watching David to see where he was, but that was so far after the apex that, yeah, he just hooked it left, and like he was, or sorry, hooked it right. He was far enough into the corner that I thought he was comfortably safe. I didn't expect to see the 55 go around as well, but what looked like it was about to be a really great battle under green suddenly turned into 2 cars looking the wrong way, and a driver who still has yet to score a podium. You know, Mitch Morrow could be a first-time podium sitter, but yeah, he's going to capitalize on a mistake from a couple drivers that to this point tonight just weren't making them.
Yeah, major point in damage for Justin. He got he's back on track now, using his quick repair.
So here is David Paxa, who has since again got back up to speed as he comes through the carousel. What a beautiful camera angle that is. These cars, this track, genuinely beautiful in real life, and to see that iRacing's captured them quite well is very hopeful for the future of sim racing. But yeah, Mitch Morrow there, really just right place, right time for sure. But still, like it takes genuine ability to keep yourself as fast as he's been for that many laps, and he's only 4 or 5 seconds ahead of David though, so we could still see a battle again between 2 different drivers that only, in the case of David, has 1 career podium in the series. In the case of Mitch, who currently has none, could go for his first here tonight, but he's going to have to hold off David if he is indeed a little bit faster. But right now, doesn't appear so. We'll check the lap time comparison this lap between Mitch and David. This should be the first full lap from David since that incident. So here we go. Mitch coming across the line this time with a 152.5. Actually fairly off his pace from last lap, but again, that may have just been because of the mistake from David. So we'll see this lap. This will be the test to see where they are in terms of pace, because of course Mitch would have been that much faster than David because David was just coming off a wreck and was probably taking it easy on the tires.
Nick's gaining on Andrew that lap. 3/10 of a second faster.
Yeah, he was faster again, but the previous 2 laps, it was Andrew that had the advantage there with a 150.3. Who's got the fastest lap now? I think it's still Nick's 152. Sorry, 150.2 that he ran earlier, and it is. So, yeah, I mean, Nick's got the bonus point there in that respect. The question becomes, with that now 7 laps to go, he'd have to run a full second faster per lap. Like, Nick needs to put it in another gear, and I think Andrew almost needs to make a legitimate mistake or have trouble with lap traffic, because otherwise, I just don't foresee that gap being made up. But again, I know firsthand from broadcasting him in a different league, the Bandit Racing League on this very same channel, you can never count Nick out. I know it's a different discipline, but you can truly never count Nick out of an event as long as he's still there. And as far as his championship contender battle goes, he was currently second going in. He's only going to finish 1 spot behind Andrew if he indeed finishes where he does. Then it wouldn't be too bad. But here comes Justin Lewick down the inside of Tanner for 8th. The 55 car, more success there down into 4 than he had a little bit earlier. Gets the pass done, but Tanner's not going to fall too far back. Under the Corvette bridge, turn number 5. Tanner coming back at him. Kind of tried to peeked it to the inside there. Didn't go through with it, but Tanner Digner now back down into 9th where he started. So he started and currently going to finish in the exact same spot. But Justin Lewick capitalizing on that pace we saw earlier. The car doesn't look too bad, so must have taken it down pit road there after that spin with David a couple laps earlier. And since then, he's been looking pretty quick there. Not a bad lap time that last time by.
And never don't make out for the win, because we've just seen what happened with and David and Justin with the spin. He's now 5.5 seconds of Andrew.
One thing I just very quickly want to mention as well, as speaking of David, as you just mentioned, David just ran the fastest lap of the race. Fastest lap bar none. Not fastest of his race, fastest overall. It was a 150.26, so 2 thousandths quicker than Nick Nickerson's best lap time before, but that's a purple lap. That's a bonus point, and that means David is absolutely hustling that 53 car right now. It just got in a spin. He put it back on track, didn't even pit. He's on old tires. He didn't have the slipstream, and he just ran the fastest lap of the race. Like, David, where is this pace coming from? Jack, what do you think?
Yeah, just looking 1.5 seconds faster than Mitch. It's going to be a last lap battle, I think, between those two. It's going to come down to. It also definitely could come down to the last race.
Yeah, it really could. It's going to time out about that same way. Now he's about 2.6 seconds back. If he's another second faster for 2 more laps, he's going to catch him on like lap 27, lap 28. And he's running out of time here, so he's gonna go. No, the mistake from David, right as we talk about it again. Back on track though, keeps it going. No, the back end's jumping on him. He's gonna have to pit that car just as he was working up the pace. Just ran the fastest lap. He was pushing that car to its limits. And David Paxa, another minor mistake. We'll go to the replay there. We'll see if he pits this time by. He doesn't. He stays on track, so clearly must not think there's any damage on that number 53 car, and there might not be. But now he's got the championship leader coming into tonight, Trevor Anderson, right on his back.
Yeah, and if the commentators thinks once again.
Just heartbreaking for David Paxel. We'll go back to the replay there again and just see what the exact same issue, just a little bit too loose there in Canada corner. Got it back up to speed, got a little bit too hard on the throttle. Actually, Jack, looking at that, like, I don't see any noticeable handling defects in that car. So of course, he just gave up the spot to Trevor, who now jumps into 4th, who is really recovering from earlier when he was having some troubles. But no, Trevor has since recovered quite well, but David's still right behind him. He's still right there. Minimal damage to that car. We'll see this lap, what his pace is like, and see if he's running comparable lap times. But David might not be out of consideration yet for still getting back maybe up to 4th.
Yeah, it looks like he has a little bit of minor damage, but besides that, I think he's all good. No stealing damage.
Well, back to this battle between Justin Lewick and Tanner Dignard, battle for 8th. Remember, Justin got by Tanner a couple laps ago. We thought he might cruise away with the pace he had at the beginning, but since then, Tanner has not backed off. He's been capitalizing on those slipstreams, these long straightaways. He's staying with them, and what a race it's been overall in terms of pace for Tanner. And Justin goes way wide off of turn 4. Thought there might be an opportunity here for Tanner if he can get by him. Right behind him is Marshall Crocker Sr., but he's not for position. He is a lap down from these guys, but still, it's been a fun race so far for really everybody involved in this pack. I think he's a lap down. At least he should. Yeah. So he is a lap back, but still, he's kind of keeping with these guys in terms of pace. So, got to think this battle is either slowing these guys up quite a bit, or my dad's found more pace than we saw a couple laps earlier. So, either is a reasonable possibility. But Christopher Mitchell there sitting in 10th is kind of just on his own. He's kind of on an island here, holding on to a top 10. So not going to take away too bad points. Overall in the grand scheme of the championship, and I think he's currently in 7th or 8th in the points. So, kind of staying in the midfield, but that's really, I'd imagine at this point in the season, kind of the place you want to be at minimum. So we'll keep an eye on him as the race goes on and see if he maintains that spot to the end. But it's going to be 3 laps to go here in just a moment as Andrew goes by next time by. Justin Lewick off of turn number 14 continues to try to hold off Tanner Dignard. Up the hill we go across the line once again. So Tanner, he again staying with him. They're on that same second as they cross the line this time, but he's going to need to find a little bit more if he's going to make up that gap to him. But right now, as we come to 3 to go here, Mitch Morrow continues to hold down third, Jack. You got to think, if you were Mitch Morrow at this point, you're going for your first podium in series history, you got to just be on cruise control at this point, right? Like, you don't want to be taking too many risks with 3 laps to go.
Yeah, with a 6-second gap, with 3 laps to go, it'd have to be 2 seconds a lap that you slow down. But I think stay careful and slow down a little bit, but definitely not. It's going to be close with all the top 5, and David just had a 1:52.849, 2 seconds slower than Trevor.
Yeah, I think that pace in that 53 car, as quick as he was, is just kind of fallen off because of those 2 wrecks in Canada Corner. But to be fair to Trevor, whose photo, I swear, it gets more out of frame every time I show it. I don't know what's wrong with that photo we have for him, but we'll have to get it fixed up for next week. No, it's just way out of frame for some reason tonight. So, the driver, the number 25, Trevor Anderson, who currently doesn't have a head on the graphic. He's really locked it down since those earlier laps, and he's going to come home for a solid 4th, maybe even 2nd, because if he makes up 2 seconds to Mitch each of these last 3 laps, he will get there in time. And the last lap he did. Mitch ran a 1:52.4. Trevor ran a personal best the lap before, and this last lap he ran a 1:50.8. So he's making up time, and this is going to be crucial because, again, if you're Mitch Morrow, like we just talked about, you want to keep it clean. You don't want to take too many risks. Only 3 laps to go. Just bring it to the end. But to be fair, like, Trevor is hustling. Yeah, I think that he's definitely got to keep enough pace to not fall into the trap of getting caught. But I think for the time being, as he's comfortably ahead. You can see in the background, you can't even see Trevor in the shot for now. If he can even keep the pace he is compared to Trevor these last few laps for 2 more, he can bring home his first podium in the series.
It's a weird situation with David's damage because he now just ran a 1:51.5.
Yeah, the pace is still there. It's been a fascinating race for David. It won't finish on the podium, so we won't get a chance to talk to him. But it would be fascinating to see after the race what went wrong for the 53 car, because just that corner was particularly giving him trouble, and I wonder where his handling was at there after that first slip up. Just maybe that was what was giving him so much trouble there in those later laps. But very quickly, I want to point out here, Jack, as Andrew comes across for a 1:51.3. Nick has just kicked it into another gear. Nick has been faster each of the last 5 laps. This lap by 1.2 seconds. Nick just ran a 1:50.13. Nick is just flying right now, and like 2 laps to go. I think he's going to run out of time. But if Andrew makes a mistake, this might not be over.
Yeah, well, like I said, with how it could be with David before he had that spin, I think it could very well with Andrew and Nick come down to the final straight or final corner.
Again, 6 seconds. You got to think Andrew's probably pretty comfortable, but again, you just got to lock it down, minimize incidents at this point. You can be 3 full seconds slower per lap if you're Andrew right now. You just got to bring it to the end without going wide in a corner or anything like that. Second to last time here through the carousel for him as he comes to the white flag this next time by. But here comes Justin and Tanner once again coming up the line for their second to last lap. Justin he's breaking away a little bit from last time we checked in on it, but Tanner is still very much there. And I wouldn't be super comfortable if I'm the 55 car, especially not with Tanner being within a slipstream where he's still going to get the benefit of a DRS move would bring him 5-6 tenths closer, and that's closer than I think Justin's willing to work with. Here we go, final time to take the white flag here off of turn number 14. 1 lap to go here at Road America for Andrew Bedrosian on the way to what could become his 4th win of the season. What a year it's been for that number 5 car. Cross the line for the white flag. 1 lap to go here at Road America. And up to turn number 1. He has a full straightaway on Nick Nickerson. You see there in the background is Nick. 5.5 seconds back. This race is almost over if you're Andrew. Just got to bring it home one more time. And tonight was really everything he needed to do. You know, he got in front early. The pit stop cycle put him behind somebody for second. He got by him on track cleanly right before a yellow and then just took off. This is the type of night that if Andrew can rattle off consistently this season, the championship battle that has been so close to this point in the season could get a lot less close to end off the year as he comes through turn at number 5 for the final time. That was one of the final tough corners of the racetrack. Here comes the under the Corvette bridge. Has to make this one more time. He's on his way. We trust Andrew. We've seen his skills in the past. He's not going to slip up. So back a little ways we go. Checking on this battle between Justin and Tanner, who are actually catching Fred Zufeld here in these last couple laps. I think a couple more laps, this battle for 7th could have got really interesting. But for now, it is going to stay as just the battle for 8th. And Justin is running clutch lap times here. He comes for the white flag this time by. He's getting close. And Mitch Morrow here, last time for Mitch, for the driver of the number 66, looking for his first career podium in the series. That 25 is getting close here, Jack. A second and a half back. Does he have time to catch him?
It's going to be close, but... And a mistake's never a question.
Closer and closer. Watch the timing tower. We'll check in on him in a moment. But here we go. The final time through 13. The right-hander in turn 14. Andrew Bedrosian keeps it nice, calm, cool, collected. Proves why he's the guy with 4 poles. Now 5 poles on the season. Pull to the checkered for Andrew Bedrosian across the line here at Road America for his 3rd or 4th win of the season. 4th on the year for the number 5 car. He should take over the championship lead once again. What a return after last week in Indianapolis for Andrew. Last couple of corners here. Here we go. Turn number 14. Mitch really locked it down here in these last couple of corners. That's what I was saying he needed to do. Off 14. Trevor's going to get close. Down to 7 tenths, 6 tenths. He should get there in time. Mitch Morrow, welcome to the podium. His first in series history. Mitch Morrow, driver the number 66, is on the podium at Road America. What a drive from Mitch and what a drive from Andrew. Trevor almost got him. Like he was closing quick in that final lap. Ran his best lap of the race, a 150.18. That was faster than any lap from race winner Andrew Bedrosian. But there we go. We have a race winner now. What a race it was for Mitch. We got to talk about the man who brings it home for the checkered here at Road America for, again, the 4th time this season.
You might think different, but I think it was a complete dominant race from Andrew.
Oh, yeah.
Like, once again this season.
Yeah, we've seen a number of these now from Andrew, and I think despite Dan's getting ahead under a caution earlier in the race, I think unless Nick was going to pull some incredible laps out late, this was Andrew's to win there. Like he had the pace lap after lap. He wasn't running the best laps of the race there towards the end. Nick was definitely setting the personal best of anybody, but he really just locked it down there and did everything he had to keep running 151s and just laps that were going to keep him up front. And in terms of race managing, being a game manager, that's exactly what Andrew just did. So what a race. We'll see if he tests some burnouts here coming to the line. But what a race that is for Andrew and his pursuit at the championship with only 5 races left in the season for him. There he goes. You see the dog there on the underside of the cone there up in the top. I forget what it's called. The pod of some sort. Well, the roll bars up there, so you can call it the roll bar if you want. But it's got the dog, I believe, in memory of a dog that unfortunately has passed. But Andrew is doing a service for it there as he brings it home to the win here at Road America. What a camera angle this is about to be. We'll see if Mitch Morrow, first time podium sitter, pulls up alongside him. Nick has already left the racetrack, so it'll just be the top 2 here in the on-track post-race. But Andrew's just going to tootle to the line. So, well, Andrew, here we go. We got to see donuts. There we go. Victory donuts from your victor, driver the number 5, Andrew Bedrosian, comes home again for yet another great performance on the season. Probably his easiest of the year, as you said, Jack. You know, back at Mid-Ohio, he had some fighting to do with Nick Nickerson. Tonight, it was pretty cut and dry. Well, there you go. You see Mitch in the background is going to pull aside here. Now he's going to do his own donuts. First podium in the series. Very well deserved. We'll see if he's hopped in Discord. He is not yet, so we will see if he hops in here on Discord. It'd be pretty cool, but okay, just keeping an eye on him. No, it doesn't look like he has hopped in yet, so we'll see as he finishes up his burnouts. Hopefully Mitch can hop in here. We can get an interview with our first time at podium sitter. But here we go. Your final results for tonight's race here at Road America. What a run from Andrew Bedrosian. Like Jack said, from start to finish. Nick may have been closing in on him at the end, but he managed the race as best as he could, and he comes home as your race winner for the 4th time this season. After that, it is Nick Nickerson finishing in second, as he's done many times this season. I believe it's his third or fourth runner-up performance. He's picking off the points, but he's really going to need to find a way to overcome Andrew at one of these road course races if he wants to get back in the championship fight. Mitch Morrow comes home again for his first career podium there, finishing 3rd here at Road America. What a finish for him. Trevor Anderson in 4th, right behind him, almost caught up. He came, as you can see there, within half a second at the line, but the 25 picks up pretty good points. Likely won't be your series leader coming out of tonight in the points, but he did everything he had to tonight. It was a great race from him. David Paxa comes home in 5th. Had the potential for a 3rd, maybe even a 2nd tonight. Unfortunately, some incidents put him behind the 8 ball there, but he really recovered well and kept it on track for a top 5. Really, all we could expect from him there after the issues early. David Lakey finishes right behind. Those Davids always seem to be locked at the hip. David Lakey comes home in the 6th spot. Then it's Fred Zufelt finishing same as his car number in 7th, right ahead of Justin Lewick, who had a nice little battle there at the end with Tanner Dignard, who finishes in 8th and 9th respectively. Christopher Mitchell comes home to round off the top 10. Marshall Crocker Sr. finishes in 15th. Those were your final finishers at the line. Dan Skilton was quick early, but unfortunately a wreck put him out off of caution, and he just never really recovered. He finishes in 12th. Max Preston comes home in 13th. Another guy with a lot of pace that unfortunately left a little bit early. We suspect Michael Nickel had a hardware failure, so both those guys finished 13th and 14th, and were 23 laps down. And Jack Hillier, of course, commentated with us tonight in the broadcast booth, did not start the race, and Tim Salvatore was unfortunately unable to make the green flag. So there you go. That'll round off your final results here tonight at Road America, and we do have Mitch Morrow. We do have Mitch Morrow there in the broadcast chat. So let's get ready. We'll bring him in for your first interview of the night here. Of course, we always go 3, 2, 1 here in this series these days. So first interview of the race here. It's going to be with Mr. Mitch Morrow. Again, first podium in series history for him. So just going to take a quick second here, folks. Make sure we're all ready to go. Okay, sorry, almost good. There we go. Now we are ready for Mr. Mitch Morrow's first career interview here in the broadcast booth. Let's get him up here for his time in the spotlight. Hey, Mitch, Marshall, and Jack up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? Hey, Mitch, you got a copy? Oh, currently no connection at the moment. Hey, Mitch, Marshall, and Jack up at the broadcast booth. You got a copy right now? Try one more time. Hey, Mitch, you got a copy?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
There we go. No worries.
Yeah.
No worries at all. Mitch, congratulations, man. You have made it. First career podium here at Road America in this series, and what a way to do it. You were really on the lock. You know, you looked like you were on rails there towards the end of the race. You looked really comfortable tonight at Road America, which a lot of guys weren't. So tonight's track, talk through it. Were you feeling good coming in? Were you feeling like you could kind of stay more crash averse than a lot of guys could?
For sure. I mean, looking back in Monza, I don't think I didn't find the limit. I wasn't comfortable in that track. I mean, you saw when I literally took air, you could see it on the broadcast. It was really funny. But I think once I started like just pulling in those laps and doing those long sessions, like 10, 15 laps, I could really find the limit. I could really be comfortable. So I could really push myself, and yeah, I just felt comfortable, and a lot of people were making mistakes around me, so for sure, it definitely paid off just to get those long laps. But like my pace, like my one lap pace wasn't the best. Like a lot of guys could get to those low 50s, which I wasn't really able to. But for sure, I think the consistency really paid off today. I saw Trevor. Trevor was really, really fast. He was getting up there. Not gonna lie, he put me a little pressure. I mean, I definitely was a little conservative last few laps, and yeah, he got really close. So for sure, it was a fantastic race. I mean, David Paxa, like for sure, we had a good like not battle, but like we were close with each other. And then at one point, he spun with Justin, and then that allowed me to get in P3. And then he was closing on, and then so when he was talking, he was like, "Oh, Mitch, don't make a mistake." And then he spun, which was really funny. So yeah, I'm really happy because the last few races for me haven't been the best, especially in Annapolis. I was there for good compete, but like 3 incidents, so it was a little annoying. But I'm happy that I could get P3 today.
Yeah, your first of the season in your rookie years so far, and really since the beginning, you've improved massively in these last couple races. I know Indianapolis didn't go the way you were probably hoping, but you were quick there most of the event, and then just generally this season you've been getting quicker and quicker. And it's not necessarily always the case of the flat out pace you were talking about, as we even talked about tonight. It's just about that consistency, being comfortable with the cars. So from your perspective, how has your comfort with the Formula Renault car picked up as the season's gone on? Do you think you've taken quite well to this style of racing over time?
For sure, like when I was just starting, I heard a lot of things where this car is very, very difficult to drive. You had to be really gentle with the throttle. I didn't find like that much difficulty. For me, the difficulty is braking, because a lot of these guys have load cell pedals and I actually don't. I only have like a TMX. So for sure, I think the braking was one thing I had to get used to. For sure, like just locking up or braking deep enough, like watching Tim. Like Tim could brake so much later than me, and just watching that and getting more comfortable with the braking, especially in turn 3. So yeah, I think getting more comfortable with the car and how it handles, like how fast you can get on the throttle, how like hard you can really turn in with the car. I actually found something in turn 1 where you could go in hard, brake hard, and then you could actually like slide the rear a little bit. I didn't try in the race because I didn't really foolproof it yet, but for sure I'm getting more comfortable with how the car works and how you can really drive and push it.
Well, I'll throw it to Jack, because Jack's up here on the broadcast with me. He said he had a question for you. Oh, hey, Jack, you got a copy? Okay, no copy from Jack, it would appear, but got to ask the final obvious question here. Like anybody that makes their first podium, first win, anything like that, it's the obvious question. But just how are you feeling, man? What's it like to come from the start of the series, join in fresh this season? Did you think it was gonna be possible for this year to climb the way all the way up to a podium? And what's it feeling like now that you've done it?
I for sure knew it was possible. I mean, I did have to realize that like the guys I'm going up against are like just really good. Like Andrew, Max, like they're just really good. They have a lot of pace. Like on average, they're like half a second faster. So I knew that I could definitely get there. I mean, I'm happy it came pretty soon. I mean, I was kind of like, I was confident that like I could easily get like P8, P7, P6 last few races, but unfortunately it just didn't happen. So I'm happy that I could finally show my pace and not be last or a lap down. So for sure, I'm really happy with the result. I think all the practice really paid off, and yeah, I think I was really happy. Like even going in this race, I actually felt confident. I felt like, okay, you know what, this could be my breakthrough. This could be the one to really show myself. So yeah, I'm really happy, really am.
That's awesome. Well, you did tonight. You absolutely broke through and showed your stuff, and you're absolutely going to be a guy we watch coming to Homestead next week, or the race and the All-Star race. So the road course race in the first half, and then the All-Star race later that night, and then we got still Canadian Tire Motorsports Park left to go, and then whatever the All-Star race winner picks. So you got more opportunities to show out, and you certainly did tonight. And now as the podium sitter, you get your shout outs, your post race mentions. So any friends, family you want to shout out, any sponsors like that, now's your time.
For sure, like all my karting sponsors, like Duke Marine, Ultra Store, Arden, and Play Advertising, for sure. I mean, I'm happy, and hopefully they keep sponsoring me throughout the karting season. That's what I'm really looking forward to this year. Definitely going all out for that year, and yeah, just my mom, my dad, it's definitely the good support. Yeah, I mean, for sure, I'm looking forward to the next few races, and it's cool because it's like an early birthday present. My birthday is on the Tuesday, so
oh, awesome!
Little birthday present here. So that's nice.
Awesome. Well, hey, happy birthday in advance, and yeah, yes, congratulations, and yeah, enjoy the week, but make sure that you're able to put a little bit of practice in to try to follow it up well at Homestead, because certainly the pace you had tonight and the consistency, more importantly, I think is going to pay off well for you this season. So again, congratulations, Mitch. First career podium in the series. It was a pleasure to watch. Great race tonight, man.
Yes, thank you, Marshall.
There you go. First career podium in the series. And again, such a deserving guy. Really well spoken as well. Another one of those Canadian mini Indy local karting guys here out of Hamilton that I think really have a bright future for themselves. And certainly Mitch proved tonight why. You know, that consistency lap after lap, not making mistakes. I know pace is what you talk about when you talk about auto racing and the first thing you usually go to. But yeah, you really can't forget how important it is to stay consistent race after race and to just always be there, to be there at the end and be in contention. And he has been quite a few times this season. So we are going to go next to your second place interview, a guy that we have talked to a number of times this season. We're going to talk to him again, runner-up finisher tonight, driver of the number 2 car, Mr. Nick Nickerson.
You got me, Marshall?
Yeah, I do. How's it going, Jack?
Okay.
Yeah, all good. So we will throw it to you in just a moment here. But first, let's bring Nick Nickerson in the broadcast booth. Hey, Nick, Marshall, and Jack up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
How's it going, man?
It is going pretty well tonight, Nick. It was a fun race to watch from start to finish. You were really the biggest mover after lap 1 there for the most of the event. But I got to ask there, lap 1 there, I think you went off the exit of turn number 2 or 3, whatever you want to call it. And it wasn't the first time this season we saw the similar issue at Imola. Just that first turn of the race is so crucial, and you've had a couple comeback races. So is it something with cold tires, something with the car? Just talk us through the issues there at the beginning.
Well, I got taken out of like the last corner there. I don't know who it was. Yeah, it looks like they just locked the tires up and then stuffed it into me, and then I got some bad wheel damage, so I had to go in the pits. If you're talking about the time I went off of one of the corner, I think like corner 2 or 3. I think it's turn 3.
Yeah, I think I'm backwards, but yeah, you're right. That was what kind of took you out of the most of the race. But yeah, turn the third 3 thing.
Yeah, that was I was kind of concerned about my fuel, so I had my fuel on my mind, and I just wasn't focused, and kind of took that corner a little too hot. And then yeah, that was pretty much that. I was already like 30 seconds behind everybody, so. Yeah,
that was the problem. Was just it was another situation like Imola where you start from so far back, but the entire race in terms of pace, you're the class of the field. Like it was obvious from the start. Both Imola in your very first race of the series, which of course you went on to win, so it's not like you can't recover as we proved there, but. Imola, you were quick there. Mid-Ohio is a traditional road course. You were quick there. Tonight, you had the pace of anybody. So these traditional road courses here in the Formula Renault, they're playing well to your strengths. Do you think if you could just get a clean race together, maybe qualify on the pole for the first time this season, really just dominate from the start like Andrew did, do you think you have the pace to do a similarly dominant race to Andrew tonight?
That's not particularly my style or something that I would do. I probably just want to kind of like hang out, and I don't want to be sitting back leapfrogging back and forth using the drafts. Mm-hmm. So I just like to, take care of my tires and be in a position to make good passes with like a couple laps to go. That's kind of like the idea. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, it's always fun running out. I mean, if I immediately saw that I was like a second lap faster, then yeah, I would go out in front and just freaking run away with it. But that's not always the case, specifically with this car. Sometimes you can get stuck. Quite a few seconds down, and we have a hard time catching Andrew because he gets like 4 seconds out and we can't get onto his draft, and us that are like in second and third, we're sitting here battling and we're losing time just trying to battle each other for a second. Mm-hmm. That's sometimes what happens. But yeah, I mean, I'd have no real plan of when those kind of situations come up. I just kind of come up with some of the last second, and hopefully it works. But
right,
yeah. This race kind of, second place after being like wrecked out the first lap is
right. Exactly.
Nothing bad to, I can't say anything bad about it, but I kind of screwed myself in the beginning because when I got wrecked, I went into pits to get the damage fixed, and I didn't have enough data to know how much fuel I needed to make it to the end. Mm-hmm. So I guessed about 6 gallons too much. So I was 6 gallons heavy towards the end of the race. And I imagine if I had 6 gallons less, I would probably have been able to catch Andrew.
Very good chance, yeah. Just
because I was really good at saving my tires. Like that car was fired off in those last like 7 laps. Like I was having so much fun. But it is what it is, and we'll go on to Homestead and try again.
Yeah, you got plenty of opportunities. Homestead, a track coming from a stock car background, that maybe not the road course, but you got to know Homestead pretty well. So hopefully going to feel like a comfortable little atmosphere there for you. But before we finish up, Jack in the broadcast booth, I believe, has a question.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, great race, Nick.
Thank you.
But how we've seen this race, how easily drivers can make mistakes. How hard were you pushing to get to Andrew when
Extremely hard.
you
Using up every inch of the track I possibly could, and a couple times my gains went into the negative because I make a little mistake, and it'd always be on like one of the long straightaways. But when you're pushing hard, it's I guess your margin for error is so small. But again, it's fun to drive these things as hard as you can. I always hate driving races where you're trying to worry about if you're gonna make it on fuel and stuff like that. It's always fun just to go out there and just run as fast as you freaking can. And we got to do that for at least the last 15 laps, was it?
Yeah, you did. I think you posted, I think, 5 of the fastest laps of the race. So,
yeah.
Yeah, no, awesome. Definitely saw the top end pace. Yeah, you're going to get the bonus point for that. You're going to get, not the bonus point for leading a lap, but certainly should have one for the fastest lap. So, yeah, what a race tonight. Again, another classic Nick performance of just like always being in contention, running as fast as anybody out there, and just unfortunately that wreck in the first lap off the final turn was what kind of soured the race there for you early. But you still got plenty of time to go. Like you said, Homestead next week for the doubleheader for the All-Star weekend, and then you got 5 races left this season to track down Andrew, who's only going to be a couple points ahead of you. So you got time this season, but you know what to do here in the broadcast booth. Any shout-outs, friends, family, sponsors you want to mention? Now's your time to do so.
Yeah, man, just everybody that participates in this league, tons of fun. Thanks everybody for watching, and Marshall, man, thanks for putting on this league and broadcasting.
Oh, it's all
duties.
Always a pleasure. Hope you guys are still enjoying it, both at home and hopefully you, Nick, on track. So yeah, we'll see you next week at Homestead. I'm trying to find a way to run the All-Star race. Do like an in-car kind of more Twitch sort of deal for the All-Star race, but live on YouTube. So hopefully I can participate as well, because I really haven't gotten the chance to race as many times as I would have wanted to over history. But we'll do some fun stuff for the Bandit League this year, and I'm looking forward to see if you can win the All-Star race. Then you get your pick a track for the season finale. So
fantastic.
There you go.
All right, man.
Awesome. Best of luck. Congratulations, Nick. Another really stellar start to finish performance for you.
I appreciate it, man. Take care.
There you go. Second interview of the night tonight with second place finisher, Mr. Nick Nickerson. One of those performances, Jack, that just, for him in his rookie season, they've been almost weekly. We haven't seen a bad Nick race all season. He's always somebody that at some point puts himself in the top 2, top 3, but tonight, unfortunately, just that early wreck getting tagged by Michael Nickel just kind of took him out of it. Here we go, getting ready for your final interview tonight with Mr. Andrew Bedrosian, your race winner. What a drive it was from him. I might be wrong on the 4 wins this season. It might be 3. In fact, I think it is. So we're gonna bump that down and make sure that we have that right. So there we go. We are ready for the final interview here with Andrew Bedrosian from Marblehead, Massachusetts. Your winner tonight from the poll at Road America. Let's get him in the broadcast booth. Hey, Andrew, it's Marshall in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
There we go. How's it going, Andrew? It was first of all, what a race, man. That was the typical Andrew Bedrosian race that I think we were all kind of expecting to see at a couple tracks this season. We knew the pace you had coming in. We knew a lot of guys were going to have to figure the car out. A lot of guys were faster than we were expecting this year, but tonight you just came out, you took the pole. Dan got ahead of you on strategy early at the beginning, but after that you just knocked off the laps. It wasn't really in question most of the race. So just tonight at Road America, we did it last season. You had a little bit of experience, but first time in the new car. How did you take to the track, and just what was it tonight that put you as class of the field?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really fun track and car to drive. Definitely sticky with the high downforce package that we're running. It was really like a rhythm track that you just have to get into with the shifts, and just knowing what number or what gear to be in for a certain corner. But other than that, I mean, it's a pretty simple track straight on to get a hold of. But to really just dominate the field, get in a rhythm, don't make mistakes, and just run your own race, turn off the relative so you don't really look of like where people are and you don't get nervous. So
yeah, speaking of which, that's something we got to talk about, because Nick towards the end of the race there was just knocking out insane lap times. So he ran in the very low 150s, almost touched the 149s. He he was on a roll. But you stayed cool and collected. You didn't make any mistakes, and that was something that seemed hard to do tonight. It's a long track, and a lot of guys were having trouble in Canada Corner or Turn 5. So for you, once you get in the lead, you get that big gap. How much were you backing off? Percentage wise of your overall ability, where were you running on a scale of like 0 to 100 there in those last 5 laps?
Yeah, I mean, we all pitted pretty early. Right when I saw that Nick crashed out, and then we had a caution. What popped into my mind was, what if he pitted because he was at the way back? I didn't even see him. So I decided to make a pit stop. Because I knew exactly how much fuel you had to put in. I think it was like 6.6 gallons, which could get me up to like 27 laps when we were on the 5th lap, so would have worked out perfectly. But at the very end of the race, the tires were completely done, and the fuel tank in the back was light as heck. So definitely the car wanted to slide out, especially in turn 1, where you would run over the rumble strips for the apex, and it would kind of kick the car out, and at the exit of the long sweeping right-hander. So, but I mean, in the last 5 laps, I was really just trying to keep the car on track, don't push it, and just, try to stay calm.
Well, you did to perfection. It was another one of those classic, no questions asked, just start to finish performances for you. Again, you take the 3 points for the pole, led the most laps, got the bonus point for leading a lap. You're taking home a great chunk of points tonight. You should be back in the points lead after tonight. But before we wrap up, Jack's got a question I think he wants to ask.
Another great race, Andrew, by you, and another great win. Next weekend we're at Homestead for the All-Star weekend with the road course. How do you think you'll be able to? Do you think you'll be able to carry this performance on this road course over to the Miami road course?
Road courses look like my special this season. Yeah, Homestead road course. It's a lot of slow turns. Very easy to lock up. Gonna have to take a lot of turns wide to really just maximize just the overall track space. Run it to the very edge of the track. There's gonna most likely be a lot of mistakes there, with people not hitting the apexes correctly, and people just, the whole field being bunched up. Some people are probably going to get their front wings chopped off. Yeah, I feel like I can manage it, if I can just get pole, take off, and do what I did tonight.
Yeah, I have no question that of the guys to watch out for both races. Really, you said the road course has been your specialty, but you've been the quickest of anybody, you could argue, in most qualifiers or most of the races at ovals as well. So in the doubleheader, I have no question that you're probably the guy with the best shot to maybe go for both. But tonight you started with Road America. You're back on top of the points. What a night for you, Andrew, and we're back. You know what to do here in the post race interview. So any friends, family at home you want to shout out, sponsors, anything you want to mention, now's your time to do so.
Yeah, I want to thank my friends, family, girlfriend, and mother, and everybody. Really want to thank my girlfriend's parents for giving me that new gaming chair. It was real great. Want to thank Stamos Realtors, JB West Photo, the Bedford School, the Kings of Pop Culture. They've all been great sponsors. I want to really thank everybody for running out here, and everybody for watching, and you for putting this all together.
Oh, always a pleasure. I sincerely enjoy putting this on for you guys, and hopefully you had a fun one tonight. I know there wasn't a ton of action behind you, but hopefully you were you're still keeping the car on track, and hopefully it was as exciting as it appeared to be just running the track here. Road America is a classic, and hopefully you had a good time. So we'll see you next week for the All-Star Race doubleheader, and I'm sure we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, Jack. Thanks, Marshall.
There you go. So with that, we finish up your final interview of the night with winner for the third time this season, Mr. Andrew Bedrosian. That'll about wrap us up for tonight's race here at lovely Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Just here we go, get some final thoughts here as we finish up tonight. So Jack, it's a pleasure to have you back in the broadcast booth. What are your kind of final thoughts on tonight? How would you sum it up, and maybe what are you expecting for next weekend at Miami?
Yeah, great race as usual. A lot of good battles. Which going into this race, I thought there would be a couple great battles, but I thought most of the grid would be spread out. But
yeah, no, it was from start to finish. Just great way to put it. Great battles, great qualifying. It was actually a really exciting session in that capacity. So just start to finish, I think there was a lot of good stuff to watch, and hopefully it's going to be a fun one to look back on. So with that, well, thank you, Jack, as always, for coming in the broadcast booth. It's always great to have you here, and hopefully we'll see you doing quite well in the same package from last week, the Formula Renault and the low downforce that you were so quick at Indianapolis. You'll be back at Miami, and hopefully you can put down a great performance there. But there you go. There is again virtual recreation of Marshall in Road America. But hopefully next week we'll be back to proper camera setup. We'll get back to everything. Just tonight was a little bit busy. But finally, we got to thank our sponsors for tonight's broadcast. As usual, CanadianMiniIndy.com, home of some of the greatest racing you'll ever find. I mean, I've run on Sims for a number of years now, but still my favorite racing memories all come from karting through Canadian Mini Indy in Hamilton, Ontario. So if you're Canadian, if you're in the Hamilton, Ontario area, you want to get started in racing at either rookie level, or you want to work your way up into proper karting, that is the place to do it. Thank you to CanadianMiniIndy.com. As always, the link is now in the broadcast description. The last couple weeks I haven't had it there. Finally, we got the description up this week, so go check it out if you haven't. Also, Evan Wall Media, the link is in the description to evanwallmedia.com. Evan is not only my co-broadcaster from the Bandit Racing League seasons when we host that on this channel, but he is also my kind of graphics guru, the guy that puts together all the visuals you see on screen. So thank you to Evan for everything he does. And again, if you want some iRacing paint schemes, you want to check out his portfolio work, or you're looking for any custom graphic of any sort, check out evanwallmedia.com, the guy that does all these graphics. That's the place to go for it. On the bottom left there, you see FSRN, of course, Full Send Racing Network, the channel we host these races on. So if you want to support the channel, you're always welcome to, but I'm never somebody that's going to go out of my way to ask for anything specific. Just like if you feel the need to, and more so just staying engaged, commenting during the race and stuff like that, keeping the conversation going. That's what I care about. But if you want to subscribe, sincerely appreciate it, and that way you'll never miss these races. If like last week they get rescheduled to a Tuesday rather than a Sunday, that's the way you'll know. So sincerely appreciate it. There is the schedule for the rest of the season. Remember the All-Star race and a special blue color there, because it's going to be a fun little event. We'll get some special guests back for that event, and hopefully have our biggest turnout of the season for the All-Star race at Miami. And then that race winner will pick from Spa-Francorchamps, Laguna Seca, or Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for the series finale. But with that, we are now ready to go. Thank you sincerely, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of myself, Jack Hillier, everybody in the background, Chris Farrar, our race director. Special thank you to him as always. And thank you to all the drivers for coming out tonight. And thank you all for watching. And another great round, the 7th of the season, for the second season of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series season, presented by Full Send Racing Network. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. And we'll see you next Sunday, same time as usual, for our double-header event at Homestead, Miami. Have a great rest of your week, everybody.